I bought a BMW E30 325i convertible, my 25th BMW in 16 years. It's a love-hate relationship. Hello everybody, it's Mike, the Baldadonis. Boom! Hey guys, if you're joining me for the very first time, my name is Mike the Baldadonis and I talk about many different topics, mostly about myself. I talk about being in prison for 5 years, 3 months in my early 20s, only to get out of jail and dabble in steroids that led me to having a heart attack after gaining 105 pounds of pure muscle. I talk about cars, that's why you're here, right? I talk about many different things like conspiracy theories with Gary from the gym. I have motivational talks with Dr. Peter Pococo. He's the reason why I'm here on YouTube. And whatever else I can think of. It's a multi-topic channel. I am relatable in one way or another with my audience. I have many health issues, and what's going on right now is I deal with vertigo from today's environmental pollution and today's foods. So I talk a little bit about that. So today's video, it's been a long time coming. I actually bought the BMW in July, but I didn't know which way I wanted to go with it. I didn't know if I wanted to do short videos or one complete video, bought, fixed, sold. So that's what today's video is all about. All right, so back in July, being an old Craigslist, because I live on Craigslist, I'm all about buying cars and that's my hobby. So I'm sitting there, 1989 BMW convertible. It's the next town over. I'm like, oh, damn. I emailed the person. Don't hear nothing back. Email them again. I get the phone call. I was like, I'll be there within an hour. Where you live? The person's like, well, I have a lot of people interested in it. I'm like, I'm gonna come right there right now. I get cash on me. I'm buying this vehicle if I like it. So when I get there, her name is Karen. She's owned the car for over 21 years. The car has been garaged in her ownership. This car is rust-free. Living in the Boston area, or mostly any New England area, trying to find an older BMW with no rust is almost impossible. This car has 164,500 miles. And looking at it, I knew I was gonna buy it. I knew I was gonna buy it. You know, it had some issues that it needed to be addressed, but she had a full folder works, a folder of receipts from all these years. She put 40,000 miles on it in 21 years. She's 61 years old and her kids grew up in this car, so it was very emotional for her to sell it. Now, I made a very good connection with her because the love I have for BMWs, and after I told her all the cars that I own, she knew it was going to the right hands. I was going to take her baby, fix it up, and move it along to the next, hopefully, person that was going to take care of it for the next 30 years. So I let her drive the car back to my house. I give her a ride home, and after I got home, I'm very sensitive to smells. After having the top up, I got in the car, I can smell mold. I was like, oh, geez. So now it is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm outside with the top down, with vinegar and baking soda, cleaning up the mold. There's only a few spots, but I cleaned it up, let it breathe overnight, and the car was fine after that. But for 8 days and for 8 nights, in July, going into August, it was the hottest July in Boston's history. I was dying, but I cleaned this car up. So I detailed the trunk. I cleaned that completely out. The car looked like it needed wax. So the car I waxed several times, only to find out that the paint or the clear coat was worn down. So in the daytime, you can actually see the clear coat missing, but at nighttime, it looked beautiful. It was the bronzic color, which turns into gold, into silver as the night goes on. Beautiful color. I really liked it. But I did wax it several times. It just didn't come back. And after going to a BMW car show in Brookline, Massachusetts, I found an E30 person that told me all about the car, and he told me, yeah, they come with clear coat. It has to be clear coated. So the seats are the sport seats, which are very desirable. Most people want these seats. Unfortunately, they are leather and they weren't taken care of. And leather, as most people know, shrink, and the stitching popped. And so I went to Joann's Fabrics. I got some vinyl, and I was putting it in little spots so I can make it look very presentable. And it did come out pretty good. That was the only eyesore of the car, was the interior. The seats look a little rough, and the driver's seat actually was replaced with vinyl cover, and that looked really nice. But other than that, the seats were okay. So since the car was rust-free, every nook and cranny I got in with a little small towel or Q-tips, and I cleaned everything. I was so happy with the way this car was. All it needed was a few things. Visually, it needed the clear coat. It needed seat covers, and if you really wanted to, a new top. But because she had a garage, I had a garage, there was no need for a new top. Actually, the top was in very good condition for being original. It did have a couple little pinholes that you can see, from wear and tear, but what do you expect for a 30-year-old car? But again, the top was in really good shape. I detailed that, and I put a protection on that. It came out very nice. So the only thing that didn't work was the radio and the air conditioning. The radio could have been working, but because she put a new battery in it, she lost the code, so no radio. So while taking the car for a test drive, I knew some of the normal things that go wrong with these cars, and I knew the valves have to be adjusted because it was ticking. I can hear a clunking when I shift, which probably was the gubo or the gibo. It's a rubber disc that is right on the drive shaft, and there's also a center bearing, but I did not change that. I just saw that the gubo was worn, and I changed that. And anytime the car drove at 50 miles an hour or faster, it shook violently. Now, I thought that was the gubo, but when I went looking for repair shops, now buying and selling cars, I have many people that help me out. I have a shop that charges me a little bit more than I want to pay. I have friends that one is free, but I'm not going to bother him with the project. But it is a driving project that you can drive it the way it is and just do some of the things slowly. But it was a perfectly driving project. I call it a project. But I had 2 other people that no longer did side jobs. And while I was looking, I found these guys in Salem, New Hampshire. Live free and drive. I went to these guys. I don't know them from a hole in the wall. They don't know me. I pulled up. I met the owner named Keith. I'm like, hey, Keith, I do a YouTube channel. I do cars as part of my hobby. And would you be interested? But I have to do a labor at like half price almost, because I'm gonna do a lot of work and I can have other people do it. If you do this for the prices that I can afford, then I will help you and put you up in the videos as well. So I will promote your business. So Keith was really cool. He's like 35 years old. He has Jude that works with him, and then he has Kane that works with him. And Kane is a BMW guy himself. So I felt very comfortable with these guys, and they got on this car right away. I mean, like, as soon as I pulled it in, they got on it. So they adjusted the valves. They put an O2 sensor in. They couldn't find the vacuum leak, but eventually we ended up finding it. What else did we do? We checked out the suspension. Everything was nice and tight. They were super happy about how clean it was. And even though the tires looked brand new, they were from 2004. So that was my vibration. I had them rebalance the tires. It helped a little bit. So as the summer's still going on, I'm still looking for one more vehicle to buy. Hopefully another convertible. So this car was driven every single day, 3 or 5 miles. I took a nice little ride if it didn't rain. Cruising around, I had fun. But every week I did something more. So eventually I bought brand new tires. What a huge difference that was. That was like night and day. I got these tires, and anybody can go online, Best Used Tires. They sell used tires, but also brand new tires, and they give a really good discount price. So I've been using them off and on for about 2 years if I need them. So while I was waiting for the intake boot to come in, I was on Craigslist looking for E30 seats. If I could find better seats than I had, I would probably bought in them, but I didn't find them. But I did find an E30 specialist, and he was selling some parts. So I actually emailed him. He called me back. I told him what was going on, and he said, well, I have an intake boot. Come up and we'll try it out. I was like, well, I already ordered the part. Ironically, when the part actually came in, it was the wrong boot. So I called Nick back. I went up the following Saturday. So while I was still there with Nick, after he changed the boot, he can still hear the valves being a little bit louder than they should. So he checked the oil, noticed that it was very thin. He said, hey, I think this is synthetic. This car needs 2050 regular oil. When you get a chance, change it out. It should run much better and much quieter. So after leaving him, I went right to Pep Boys, and I got the oil change, and he was right. The car ran so much better. It was much smoother. So anybody with the E30s, do not use synthetic oil. Stick with the 2050 regular oil, and you'll be very happy with it. So after having the tires put on, I noticed that the brake pads were a little bit low. I said, you know what? The car has to be safe for the next person. So I got all new brake pads, put those on, and the car stopped much better. Again, I'm on a budget, and whatever my budget will allow me, I'll go over a little bit. As long as it's for safety, I'm okay with that. So that's what sells this car. Rust-free, no cracks in the dash, a sport interior, all maintained well, all new parts, and being on video, proof that it's been done. But because the car sat for so long, it did have a small oil leak in the rear main seal. Now I was very skeptical of the product Blue Devil. I did a lot of research on it. It says that it will have no more leaks in the rear main seal. So I bought it, used it, and under 100 miles, it fixed the problem. So Blue Devil does work. It worked in my vehicle. So give that a try. I did a lot of research on that. A lot of people found that it didn't work, but most of them found that it did, and it worked for me. Blue Devil, rear main seal. So the new owner is Alex. He come up on a Thursday, took it for a ride, loved the car. He's 30 years old. He wanted a 30-year-old car. He wanted the same year that he was born vehicle, which I think is very cool. But he played games with me, unfortunately. He's a good guy. He works hard, very busy, but every few days it was always something. When I'm like, "You gonna buy the car?" "Yeah, it's gonna happen in a couple days. It's gonna happen in a couple days." 3 weeks go by. I actually had to deliver it to him. Now, a few weeks ago, if you've seen my video about me taking CBD oil and having an allergic reaction to it, I didn't get out of the hospital till about 6:30, got home about 7:30. 11:30, I'm delivering this car all messed up just so I can give it to him. I wanted no more excuses. He finally bought it, and I took an Uber back home. He paid for it. It was my very first experience in an Uber, and it was very good. But the plan was, and I was always hoping for, that's why this video took so long, was because I wanted to get Karen to meet Alex. I wanted to have a nice little relationship where next year he can show her the car painted, new seats, but it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, he was supposed to come up and do a little video about the car and talk about what he was going to do to it. So I haven't heard from him. So now I'm posting up the video 2 months after I bought the car. Jeez. Anyways, things to look out for on the E30. Not a whole lot. Rust, number one. Suspension's pretty easy, basic stuff. The drive shaft, Gubo, center bearing, those wear out. The clutch, obviously, it is a 30-year-old car, but it is a BMW. Have somebody you know look at it, unless you know BMWs, because it is a love-hate relationship. Adjustable valves, timing belt, water pumps, fuel injection, you get it. These parts aren't cheap. So find a good one, rust-free, somebody that's an enthusiast that's selling it, pay the extra money for a nicer car. Unless you're a mechanic and you know what you're talking about and know what you're doing, then buy it. But for the regular person, pay the extra money for the nicer car. I always found that works out the best. So until the next video, everybody, Baldadonis out.